My name is Margaret, and I'm 68 years old. I've lived in this house for over 30 years, long enough to know every creaking floorboard and every gust of wind through the windows. After my husband passed away 5 years ago, I got used to the silence. It wasn't always comforting, but it was familiar. I never thought a knock at the door would change that. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon when it happened. I was knitting by the fireplace, sipping lukewarm tea when I heard a knock. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I made my way to the door and opened it. A young man stood there, drenched, holding a small toolbox. "Hi," he said politely. "Your neighbor mentioned you might need help with your water heater." I stared for a moment. My neighbor had mentioned something about sending someone by, but I'd forgotten. "Come in," I said. "Just for a minute." He stepped inside, removing his shoes and jacket. I offered him a towel, and as he dried himself off, I couldn't help but notice how odd it felt to have someone else in the house again. He got to work quickly, heading to the basement. I made another cup of tea and sat in the living room, listening to the soft hum of tools below. It had been so long since I'd heard anything but my own footsteps echoing through these walls. An hour later he came back up. "It's fixed," he said. "You had a clogged valve. Nothing major." I smiled. "Thank you. Would you like some tea before you go?" He hesitated, then nodded. "That would be nice." We sat at the table. A young man in his 30s and an old woman surrounded by pictures of a life long lived. The conversation was surprisingly easy. We talked about books, travel, and how I used to be a ballroom dancer. He listened, really listened, something I hadn't felt in years. He started stopping by more often. First to check in on the repairs, then just to say hello. He brought me fresh bread from the bakery, helped clean the gutters, and even fixed a wobbly cabinet. But what I treasured most weren't the chores, it was the conversation. We laughed about the small things. I told him stories of my youth, of dances in the 70s and stolen kisses in Paris. He told me about his dreams, his struggles, and how he missed his own grandmother. We built a quiet companionship, something neither of us had expected, yet both of us deeply needed. One night, during a power outage, we sat in candlelight. The house glowed in a warm hush. I looked at him and said, "You've brought life back into this house." He smiled. "You've brought peace back into mine." I never let many people in. After loss, you learn to guard your heart. But letting someone in, even just for a minute, sometimes gives you back parts of yourself you thought were gone forever. Now, every time I hear a knock at the door, I open it with hope instead of hesitation. And I've learned that sometimes, the most unexpected people enter your life and never leave.